Hi, my name is Matt Thompson, and I'm a citizen and resident of the state of Missouri. I'm making an appeal to the new governor of Missouri, Mike Parson, for a full and unconditional pardon of Jeff Weinhaus. Jeff Weinhaus is a whistleblower. I visited Jeff in prison in Bonne Terre, Missouri this morning. Jeff is a good, God-fearing Christian man. He's a constitutional activist that worked within his own community in Union, Missouri to publish periodicals. He worked to expose corruption and promote constitutional rights. For those that don't know, on September the 11th, 2012, Jeff was shot in the head as well as the chest by state highway patrolmen after being lured into an ambush. Jeff was later wrongfully convicted of attempting to assault these officers. Now, further evidence has come out that proves that this was a wrongful conviction. These federal officers testified falsely. These officers, they weren't federal officers, state officers, testified falsely at Jeff's trial. They testified that they had asked Jeff to sign papers to get his computers back. They had actually stolen Jeff's computers from his house and asked him to come meet them in order to get his computers back. They testified at the trial that they asked Jeff to sign these papers to get the computers back, and that he reached to draw his weapon, and that they commanded him to take his hand off his gun. Video has proven that this testimony is entirely false. They never asked Jeff to sign any papers. They never asked Jeff to take his hand off his gun. Jeff never put his hand on his gun. They simply shot him in the head. It is now known that FBI officers witnessed the event. They saw Jeff from his right side. They didn't see any guns. They didn't see any movement from his head, from Jeff's right hand. Jeff had a holster cross-holstered on his left hip because that's the only way he could sit in his car with the seatbelt on. So the officers testified falsely about the reason for shooting Jeff. And this is the reason that he is convicted and sitting there for 30 years. It is now known also that at the trial, Jeff was fitted with shock cuffs. And every time Jeff could have possibly testified on his own behalf, a jailer showed the switch of the electronic shock cuffs to Jeff in a threatening way. This is not justice as we know. Martin Luther King once said that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And I'm sure as the governor reviews all the information for the pardon of Jeff Weinhaus, he will be talked to by many people from government agencies with all kinds of issues that they say will threaten the government if the governor pardons Jeff Weinhaus. And I would just remind the governor that the primary responsibility of government in a free society is to protect the rights and liberties of the individual. It is not to protect the power of the government agencies. His duty and responsibility is to perform justice for Jeff Weinhaus and to protect the rights and liberties and freedom of press in the United States. When our founding fathers gave us freedom of the press, they weren't talking about government-authorized media only. They were talking about anybody with a printing press. Here we have an individual that's incarcerated for 30 years for the crime of allowing himself to almost be murdered for publishing a newspaper. Governor Parson, please pardon Jeff Weinhaus.